Welcome to Gurukul's CAT 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma, and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady.
Welcome back to another video. Now this is the passage for today. In case you'd like to take this up as a test, then all you've got to do is go on to www.thegurukul.org.in and register for the 100 days to CAT test series. Now this is a completely free test series in which we'll be uploading 100 questions of quant, LRDI and verbal ability, one set per day, so that you can stay consistent with your CAT prep and crack CAT 2025 this year. Now let's get into the passage. So this is your paragraph number 1. Pause the video here, jot down all the main points, then we'll move on to the paragraph number 2. This is your paragraph number 2. Pause the video here, jot down all the main points, then we'll move into the paragraph number 3. This is your paragraph number 3. Pause the video here, jot down all the main points, move into the questions of this passage. Now guys, this is your question number 1. Pause the video here, don't take more than a minute. Answer this question and then we'll move on to the next question. This is your second question. Pause the video here, answer this question and then we'll move on to the third question. This is your third question. Pause the video here, answer this question and then we'll move on to the fourth question. This is your fourth question. Now pause the video here, answer this question and then we'll move on to the passage and question explanations. So what is he talking about in this passage? He says that rising powers from the so-called global south are putting their former western colonizers on notice. They want their looted treasures and their historical dignity back. So clearly he's introducing the topic in the first very line and he's saying that the people, the south, the global south is now putting some kind of a pressure onto the west to return back, or to these global south people want their treasures back, their heritage back. In China, it's estimated that up to 10 million antiquities have disappeared since 1840. Alex Palmer writes, the modern Communist Party has declared its intent to bring China back from the period of prolonged decline, and the return of looted objects serves as an undeniable proof, tangible, visible and beautiful proof. So tangible is something that's realizable. Okay, so tangible is realizable. Okay, something that's concrete. Okay, so basically what's he saying in this part, he's only from this part to here, he's only talking about, you know, an example of China, what China wants to do. Okay, so Chinese billionaires have now been using their wealth to acquire Chinese art form from European firms. More stunningly, high-skilled thieves have targeted European museums, brazenly stealing. So this word brazenly, what does this word brazenly means? Okay, brazen means bold. Okay, so they've boldly stolen Chinese antiquities that were looted during the 19th century. So now, from this part to here, he's just talking about China's example, okay, in terms of the main idea that he's mentioned so far. Okay, now let's go down to the second paragraph. Perhaps we can't blame a formerly oppressed nation. So what is this formerly oppressed nation? In this case, this could be thought of as China. Okay, for wanting to get back their heritage by any means necessary, even if that means pulling off a Killmonger style haze. So if you watch the Marvel movie Black Panther, you'll know about the Killmonger character in that. But anyways, he's given that just below. The way in which Marvel movie Black Panther, the character Killmonger stole back African artifacts from British Museum. So what happens is that the Killmonger goes and he gets back, you know, very, very boldly, he gets back all the artifacts from the British Museum, all the African artifacts. The same way this example where people are stealing, okay, that's the relationship that is mentioned over here. Many countries have requested formally the return of their looted heritage, only to find that their former colonizers and invaders aren't budging. So what are we getting from here? Okay, countries have asked for their artifacts, but Western powers, I'm going to keep WP, Western powers, this is not reverse of any other brand, but Western powers, okay, have said no. That's what we understand from this. Okay, the Indian government has long demanded that the British return the famous 105.6 carat Kohinoor diamond. Britain has claimed that the diamond was a gift. So this is again another example of stating how these Western powers are not budging, they're not giving into the demands. Okay, former Prime Minister David Cameron once said that the Kohinoor would stay put. Now this stay put is a phrasal verb for not moving. That means Kohinoor will stay in Britain only. That's what this entire paragraph is talking to us about. Let's go to the second paragraph. What is undeniable is that as more and more countries gain wealth and geopolitical influence, museums and galleries in Western countries will feel only more pressure and scrutiny for their decisions to hold on to the stolen heritage. What does that mean? So when more power is being given to Global South or more wealth is there in Global South, okay, these Western museums will start feeling the pressure from them because of the influence they now have. Okay, Asia is now becoming home to the world's highest number of billionaires. China is in first place, while India ranks third. So together, Asia has a lot of billionaires. So they will have their wealth, they will have the influence. Okay, so that will put pressure on the Western museums. Okay, so wealth and influence combined with increasing nationalism will bring about a demand for art and justice. So the author is very clearly saying that bringing back the art is a form of justice. The author perceives this to be justified. History belongs to geography. Heritage belongs to the community that it was meant for. If it's taken anywhere else, it's not just wrong, it's almost a sin. So this last part tells us that the author is very clearly, okay, assigning a moral standpoint to heritage and artifacts. Okay, so the author is clearly telling us about his morality, his compass, moral compass that the author is mentioning over here. Social media makes it easier for people around the world to spread awareness about the efforts to restore heritage objects to their original country. A group called the India Pride Project is a collective of online volunteers who scour the world's museums, exhibitions and private collections for the looted artifacts from India. Okay, they use the social media to pressure for the return of the artifacts. The project started with a bunch of people saying, hey, can we use heritage as a way to leverage pride in our own civilization? Now, what does this mean? This means that social media or posting on social media that so and so artifact was taken from us and we need to get it back and gaining support from a lot of people. That is actually, you know, helping to spread awareness, okay, about these efforts to get back those heritage objects. All right, and he then talks about one particular example of such an organization called the India Pride Project, which is a collective of all online volunteers who are trying to help the government or who are trying to, you know, show that yes, these articles have been taken from us. They are going to different museums. So this scour, okay, scour is find out by visiting. Okay, so scouring means find out by visiting. So they are going to different museums, they are checking out different museums and they're finding these artifacts which were taken from different countries, specifically India over here, and then they are putting pressure that we need to get these artifacts back. Okay, and obviously when this is happening, okay, the project we started with just a small thought. Okay, can we use our heritage to leverage our pride in the civilization? So can we feel that our heritage, our artifacts and all give the civilization, our own people, some kind of a pride? So let's move to the next part. Okay, India Pride Project is about 5 years old and largely decentralized with a core of about dozen volunteers who scan catalogs and websites around the world for Indian heritage items. In 2014, the group helped to recover a stolen statue of Shiva from an Australian museum worth more than $5 million. So basically what is Indian Pride Project is given over here. So they don't have any one central command. Okay, they're decentralized. That means they operate from different places. And what do? They kind of scan catalogs and websites for these kind of artifacts, okay, for Indian artifacts that belong to India, and then they help get that Indian artifact back to India. Okay, still when it comes to looted heritage, is it morally wrong to steal back treasures that were forcibly taken from your culture? The members of Indian Pride Project don't believe that stealing or buying back treasures is the way to go. Instead, they argue that the only sustainable way is to make a moral case that countries should return stolen heritage. So here there's a small dilemma that the author is presenting to us. Okay, so this part is about a dilemma that the author is presenting to us. He's asking us, is it really wrong for us to steal things? Okay, then he says that Indian Pride Project is emphasizing that there should be a moral case that is made. Okay, you should not just go stealing things, but instead you should make a moral case so that people return things by themselves. So this was all about the passage. Now let's quickly get into the question explanations. which of the following best captures the author's primary purpose in writing this passage? Now always remember, the author's primary purpose needs to be a little broad. It cannot be only about the details that are exactly mentioned in the passage in one small part of the passage, but something that encompasses the whole idea of the passage. So why is the author even telling me all of this? That is what we have to think when we are talking about the primary purpose of a passage. So A, to advocate for the immediate and unconditional return of all cultural artifacts to the countries of origin. Now see, he is nowhere talking about the immediate return. Okay, yes, he is talking about all. Okay, so this kind of tends to become a little bit, extreme for us. So we can just remove this. To highlight the historical injustices of colonial era looting and growing global demand for restitution. Restitution is bringing back, putting things back in their own place. So this is a little broad for us. Okay, so this could be a one valid answer for us. So I'm just going to keep this aside. If I don't find anything better, I'll go with B. Okay. C says to critique the ethical stance of Western museums and governments in refusing to return disputed cultural heritage. Now again, this is very partial scope. This only comes on the first two paragraphs of the passage, right? So this becomes a partial scope choice for us. So we can just remove this. Now D, to illustrate how increasing wealth and nationalism in the global south are empowering nations to reclaim their stolen power. Again, this is just one part of the passage. So it's going to be a partial scope choice. So the author didn't tell me this whole passage just to tell me how wealth and nationalism can play a part in getting back things, right? He's told me about how the colonial people were very ruthless and they've stolen a lot from everywhere, and how we are trying to bring things back. That is the whole idea of the passage. So according to that, the best possible answer would be B. Now let's move to the second question. So second question is, it can be inferred from the author's comparison of real life Killmonger style heist to the action of India Pride project. So there's a difference, right? There's a definite contrast, right? Killmonger style heists are about stealing. Indian Pride project is using the moral and ethical standpoint to get back things. So the comparison, why is that comparison made? That's what he's asking. The author condones, okay, is disappointed at, okay, or scolds. You can just you can take the meaning as scolds. The author scolds direct, even illicit. Illicit is illegal. Okay, action as justifiable means to reclaim looted heritage. See, nowhere has the author said that, this is bad or this is good. The author is only saying that these are the things that are happening. So clearly, we cannot talk about this as the author's viewpoint. Now B, the Indian Pride project, despite its non-violent approach, shares the underlying motivation of reclaiming historical injustices. Now see, what is he saying? Basically, these both think about the same thing. What do they think about? Reclaiming the historical injustices. Yes. So they're only saying that the difference between Indian Pride project and Killmonger style is this much. What is that difference? The non-violent approach. So this actually fits the context of what he's asking us. So we can consider this as one possible answer, but let's look at C and D as well. Okay. Western museums are more likely to return artifacts in response to direct theft than to formal requests. Now see, again, nowhere has he told that this is more effective or making formal requests is not good thing. In fact, the Indian Pride project does not make formal requests at all. The governments are making formal requests. So this cannot be our answer because it's completely out of scope for us as far as the Indian Pride project is concerned. Okay. Now D, the growing nationalism in countries like India necessitates a more aggressive approach to heritage recovery. Now think about it. The author has not told what India should do in the passage. Okay. The author has told about one specific group in India called the Indian Pride project. Right. Also, it has told that India has requested and all. But the author is nowhere making a suggestion that we should be more aggressive. Correct. So this cannot be our correct answer. This is again out of scope for us. In fact, this is a tone mismatch for us. So we will not be considering this as our correct answer at all. Okay. So the best possible answer again for us is option B. Now let's go to the third question. The author's strong statement, history belongs to geography, heritage belongs to the community that it was meant for. If it's taken anywhere else, it's not just wrong, it's almost a sin. Now this, okay, is a specific detail type question, something that directly comes from the passage. So what is he asking? Serves primarily to, so why did the author tell us this particular statement? That is the question that he's asking. Provide a philosophical justification for the Killmonger style heists. Again, see, guys, he's not trying to justify the Killmonger style heists. He's just saying that Killmonger style heists are also happening. Okay, so obviously I can remove this. Articulate a moral framework that underpins the demand for restoration of looted artifacts. Okay, so what is he saying over here? He's trying to talk to us about a moral framework. Yes, so the way he's saying it's not just wrong, it's almost a sin. So this actually confirms that he's trying to give us a moral framework. Okay, and what is that moral framework doing? He's saying that that moral framework actually demands for the restitution of the looted artifacts. So yes, his whole reason to say this is that yes, morally you're in the wrong, ethically you're in the wrong, so please give back what you have taken from us. So far this becomes a very good answer for us. Look at the C1. Critique the legal definitions of ownership and possessions of cultural property in international law. Nowhere in the passage has he even mentioned or spoken about the international law or the provisions related to the ownership and possession of different things. So definitely this is an out of scope choice for us and we can remove this. Okay. D. Emphasize the unique cultural value of Asian antiquities compared to those from other regions. See, there's no comparison at all. We're not saying one is better or the other is not. Okay. In fact, the cultural value of each of these artifacts he is not really mentioned. He said that anywhere if you have stolen, you have to give back, you should be giving back. So definitely D is not a correct answer. It's an irrelevant answer for us. The best answer is B. Let's go to the last question of this passage. Now, if you stay till here, I would really appreciate if you could just hit that like button. That motivates us to keep making videos like this for you every single day. Now, the fourth question, which of the following, if true, would most weaken? So we need some option which would weaken the author's assertion that Western museums will face only more pressure and scrutiny. That means we need an option that says that if something of this is true, Western museums will not face pressure and scrutiny. They will not face. Okay, chalo. Regarding the looted heritage as a global South nations gain influence. So even if global South nations are gaining some influence, the Western museums will not face more scrutiny or will not have more pressure. What is such an option? A recent international accord establishes new legally binding framework for the permanent repatriation of the cultural artifacts within a decade. Repatriation. What does this word mean? This word literally means giving back, to host countries. So repatriation means giving back to the host country. So obviously here we can see that there is some scrutiny or some pressure. So definitely if this is true, we can't say that the pressure has reduced. So we can remove this. Major Western museums proactively launch initiative to loan significant portions of their disputed collections to source countries on long-term renewable terms. Again, now if this happens, if this were true, the pressure would increase, right? Why are you giving this back as a loan? Right? Why are you able to take it back? Renewable. Okay, that means, keep changing that, getting back the artifacts. But why are you doing that? So if you're doing this, definitely the world community or the global South will be able to exert more pressure onto you, right? So we can remove this as well. Public opinion surveys in several Western countries show a growing support for retaining the artifacts. Okay, so there's huge support in the West for retaining the artifacts. The public is supporting that. Now, if the public itself is supporting that, who will put pressure on them? Obviously, here there could not be any pressure, right? So this seems like a good option for me to weaken the pressure or scrutiny on the West. Okay, now look at D. The India Pride project expands its operation globally, inspiring similar volunteer-led movements in other formerly colonized nations. Now see, just having India Pride project in India has caused Shiva statue coming back to India. Now if this expands, obviously there will be more pressure. People will put pressure from these movements. These volunteers will keep putting pressure. So obviously this cannot be my answer. The pressure over here will increase. So pressure increases here, increases here, increases here. The only place that it does not increase, in fact it decreases, is C. So the right answer should be C. Now, if you watch the video till the end, please share this with a friend who is studying hard for CAT 2025. Help him practice a little bit more. Like this video and tell us in the comments how many answers you have gotten.
You enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, Study Room to Boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.